Thank you for joining us on Coffee Break, brought to you by the Middle Alabama Area Agency on Aging, or M4A. M4A is a part of a network of 13 area agencies on aging that cover all 67 counties across the state. We are located in Alabaster, and we cover Blount, Chilton, Shelby, St. Clair, and Walker counties. We would love to find out how we can help your family today. For previous episodes of Coffee Break, feel free to check out our YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, welcome everybody to the Coffee Break. If you're new to the Coffee Break, this is the 7th session of Coffee Break. So we're really excited again to have a new topic, a new speaker, and a topic that we think you will learn a lot from and share with family, friends, relatives, whoever, to really help spread the word about a great organization that many of us are not familiar with. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is session 7. This is brought to you by 2 of our in-house programs at M4A. One project, of course, that myself and Ms. Jennifer Fuller, who is also a panelist today, we're involved with the PANDA project, which is providing Alzheimer's and dementia assistance. We'll go over a little bit more about that towards the end. But we also have a partnership with our Alabama Cares, our traditional caregiver support program that covers all 5 of the counties that we cover here at M4A. If you're watching this again, if you're watching this later, you can always email us or drop a comment on the video or on the Facebook video or again on our YouTube channel, and we can get back with you as soon as possible with an answer that we can research for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Today's guest speaker is Miss Amanda Senn, who is the Chief Deputy Director for the Alabama Securities Commission, or ASC, located in Montgomery. And she's going to talk to us today about different frauds and scams and schemes that individuals use and how we can best protect ourselves as well as the ones that we care for. So I will pass it along to Miss Amanda now to let her kind of give her background and what she brings to us today.
Hey guys, Jeremy, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. Thank you so much for having me. Always delighted to speak about these issues. And I've worked for the Alabama Securities Commission. I know Jeremy said that this is not an agency that many of you have heard of, if anyone. I know there's one attendee on here that at least has, who works in this office, but we regulate the securities industry in Alabama. I often ask this question of grand jurors when we're presenting a case, does anybody know what the Securities Commission is? And some of them raise their hands and they say, sure we do. You regulate security guards. Not exactly. We regulate those that offer investment. So anything investment related, that's what we do. I've been with the commission now for almost 13 years. I am Chief Deputy Director, but also a prosecutor here. And our agency is unique in that we have 4 divisions. We have an investigative division. So we receive complaints from the public and from other agencies about things that are investment related and included financial exploitation, which I'll talk to you guys about in a minute. And we can investigate those cases. We have 12 sworn law enforcement officers here, and they do their deal investigating, and they bring it down to legal, and we can prosecute them in-house. So if it's determined that a potential crime has occurred, we will present that to a grand jury and prosecute the case ourselves. And so everything sort of stays in-house. We also license or register the industry here in Alabama. So anybody that is dealing with your money, your retirement funds, investment accounts, they hold a license here, most likely. There are a few exceptions with the SEC, but we oversee them and we audit them. So we go into the firms every few years and take a look and make sure that things are being done right. And we're also a resource to the public and the industry. So a lot of our registrants, especially in the smaller towns, are 1- and 2-man shops. And we need those folks out there. My family is from Choctaw County, and there are some financial advisors or financial planners out there, and they're not always connected with some of the bigger firms. So we serve as a resource to them and moreover to the public. So you guys oftentimes will speak to groups. We do over 100 events a year. and talk about financial education, literacy, financial exploitation, scams, things to look for, the things that I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So that's what we do. In a nutshell, there's a lot of really interesting things. Our director, Joe Borg, has been with us for 25 years, and we have tentacles across the United States, so we're involved very actively nationally too when we bring that back to Alabama. So thanks again, and I'll get started with the PowerPoint. Jeremy, flip it on, and one more time. All right, so that's Alabama Securities Commission. What we do, we protect the integrity of the securities market and make sure that you guys are, and I'm just being told that I'm on camera, so if you guys can see me, I have some things to show y'all in a minute. But enforcement, I want to mention licensing and investor education. We are happy to do investor outreach events. Just call our office, call Dan Lord or Nick Vondrew, who's on this, and we can set up something in your community. Hopefully the COVID-19 pandemic will be over soon and we can get back out there. But we will resume that hopefully soon. So just a couple of stats there. Our staff, 60. Yeah, we don't need to look at the numbers. You can flip it on, but we do bring back a lot of money to the Alabama coffers. So we return a lot of money to the general fund. So all those numbers mean what? In other words, we serve as a watchdog for investment fraud. And like I said, I'm going to tell you guys what to look for with investment fraud, but it's not always something that's complicated at all. It can be very simple. We investigate, we license, and we're here to assist. So you can flip on past that one. Thank you. All right, so what is a security? We are the Securities Commission. Many of you have heard of SEC. A lot of people think it's just stocks and bonds, but it's not. I mean, you guys can take a look. There is a laundry list of things. But what all of that essentially means, let me make sure I put that on there. Just a couple of things, is essentially it's a transaction with a view toward investment, and it does not have to be in writing. For example, if I go to, let's just say my paralegal Shana is on this. Say, Shana, I've got a really good thing, I think, down at the beach, in Orange Beach. I just acquired some property, and I know you mentioned that you set aside a couple of $1,000s, for a potential investment or whatever, but if you give it to me, I'm going to build some condominiums on that property, and I can return your money with 20%, which is an outrageous return right now down there, in my opinion. And so why don't you let me handle that? I'll invest the money for you, and I'll return it to you with profit. We shake hands. Now let's just say, so we've just entered into a securities transaction. It's that simple. I haven't given her anything in writing, but I've given her my word. Now, if I took that money, and instead of putting it into my project, and I don't have property in Orange Beach, that is a pipe dream. It'll never happen. I wish it would. But instead of depositing it into a corporate account or for my company and using it for capital expenses, I put it in my personal account and buy a new bicycle. If I had not told Shana that, because I did tell her I was going to use it for investment purposes for building the condominiums, and then I've just committed securities fraud. So it's any type of transaction with a view toward investment. Shana was thinking that she was going to get a return on her money. She trusted the person she was dealing with. And if that person turns out to be a bad egg, which if I made those representations to her, I would be. I've just engaged in fraud. And so here it is. It has many labels. The effects are the same, and that's devastation. And guys, I've got stacks of cases on my desk involving Alabama residents where the impacts of fraud have been financially devastating, and these people will never recoup their funds. So the third things that I'm going to mention today are types of fraud, same effect: securities fraud, financial exploitation, and then the COVID-19 scam. So you guys can be on the lookout. I think I'm speaking mostly to caregivers. I commend you guys for the work that you do, and y'all are on the front line, and so you are firsthand, going to be out there looking for red flags on all of these type cases. So go ahead and flip it on. Securities fraud, I've just basically mentioned that. This is the technical definition of securities fraud. If you do anything in connection with a transaction, a securities transaction, with a view toward investment, commit any of these things. So basically any type of fraud, make an untrue statement of fact, which is what I told Shana in my example. I said, Shana, I'm going to invest your money down at the beach and return you a profit. I'm going to use that for my project, and I don't. I've just made an untrue statement of material fact, or omitted to tell her that I was going to deposit the money and buy a bike. Employ a device, scheme, or artifice. We've had schemes that are like cobwebs. I mean, and they continue to expand. So lots of players involved in these things, so they can be as big as the fraudsters can imagine, or just involve one person. We've had one case with 12 or 13 defendants under indictment located across the world. We've extradited folks from all over the world. We've brought people back from Italy. We pick them up at UAE, Mexico. I mean, you name it, we see them all. So scheme can involve multiple. It can involve the way that it's done. I know a lot of people recognize Bernie Madoff and the big Ponzi scheme that he committed. So those are the types of things that we see. So go ahead and flip it on. So some of the things that we see on the securities investor side right now, because as you guys are aware, the economy is not doing as well as it was. The stock market has tanked. We've unfortunately seen some really hard times here lately, but a lot of fraudsters are taking advantage of this decline, this significant decline, and offering private placement type things, off-market securities. There's a lot on the private placement side, but basically what you guys need to look out for are investment opportunities, period, that don't involve a licensed broker. And I'll tell you how to check to see whether that person that you're dealing with is licensed with us. Gold, silver. My mother has reported she receives a lot of phone calls about gold and silver. We've got a lot of cases under investigation right now involving that. So if you have any questions, call us. Recover schemes. Those are schemes that are perpetrated in connection with the stock market, volatility and things like that, taking advantage of that situation and using scare tactics. Get rich, real estate, that's always out there. You can go and flip it. And get to the end because I know we're limited on time. So before you guys, if you are a loved one is contacted about an investment type opportunity, ask some of these questions. Start asking questions. You guys, the fraudsters don't like it when you begin boring down on their solicitation. So, these are the 3 questions that I take back to your friends and family and ask the people that you're dealing with. And moreover, call us to make sure they're licensed and ask them specifically about that. Go ahead and flip it. Do you understand the investment? There are, most of us are not experts in the securities industry. We're just not. We rely on people to do that for us. We trust them. And in our communities, I never want to tell people to distrust someone. Trust but verify is what I say. And so know the person that you're investing with and make sure that they are qualified and capable to handle your money. Again, just a few more questions. You guys will have the PowerPoint, so we'll go ahead and flip on past that one. I want to get to the last 2. Financial exploitation. Again, it's fraud. But in this case, it's on age. Alabama, the protection of the elderly from financial exploitation, it was a law passed in 2013, makes financial exploitation a crime. If the amount that is stolen exceeds $2,500, it's a Class B felony that carries a range of 2 to 20 years in prison. So Class B felony, Class C for anything lower than that. But this is the definition. I put it on the PowerPoint. It's basically any type of fraudulent conduct in connection with having a victim aged 60 or above. And I know I hate that number 60. When I told my mother that that elderly was considered age 60, she balked. And it's not old. It is just merely an age. And I hope that if I am able to live long enough that people are looking out for me too. So heck yeah, I want to enhance punishment for people who attempt to steal from me or who steal from me. So power of attorney is mentioned in there. Act or omission taken by that. We see a lot of abuse with the power of attorney, and it's difficult to sometimes verify the legitimate powers of attorney. But most of the institutions that accept them on file are now taking triple steps to verify that the person that's giving the person they trust power of attorney over their affairs has been vetted, and that power of attorney is granted under circumstances that where the person giving it is competent to do that. We've got several cases. We get I mentioned this financial exploitation. is also, it's a crime, but it is also required to be reported by the financial industry here in Alabama. So anybody that's an investment advisor, financial planner, broker dealer agent, investment advisor, they all deal in investments and manage our funds. They are required, effective 2016, to report suspected financial exploitation to our agency and the Department of Human Resources. And this is because those people are on the front line like you guys, but they have custody of the bulk of our retirement. And people usually, 60 and beyond have saved for retirement. They're living out their golden years, enjoying some free time and the fruits of their labor. And at that point, when our financial advisors have custody of the money, they can often prevent fraudsters from stealing the money out of the accounts, because once it's been stolen and it lands on our desk as a criminal case, the chances of getting that money back are pretty slim. Oftentimes it's overseas and it's hard to recoup, but if we can stop it from leaving those accounts, then it's a win. And we have, through this law, been able to prevent hundreds of thousands of dollars from leaving the accounts of our Alabama residents. So we're thankful for that. And I'll show y'all, these are what the reports look like. They come in all the time. And so I mentioned power of attorney, misuse of power of attorney, because you guys may see this. There are 3 cases that involve a POA, and 2 of them, the victim in this case, he and she said that they did not grant the power of attorney, but while they were placed in rehab or a nursing home, the POA, the fraudulent POA, in one case sold the house, and in another accessed the financial accounts of the victim. So this happens all the time, and just be aware of that. When you're dealing with a power of attorney, verify it. It has to be witnessed. Sometimes there's a lawyer's name on there. Pick up the phone and call the attorney, and then talk to your loved one, to make sure that he or she did rightfully grant that. But that's worth special mention. So go ahead and flip. And some questions are coming in, y'all, so I'm looking at that just a minute. So why are seniors targeted? Well, I mentioned that they hold most of the wealth. They work hard, their entire lives, and they have accumulated wealth. And so, yeah, robbers go where the money is. Social isolation right now, in particular, a lot of us, we're in quarantine, and people are spending more time online. We're shopping online, groceries and just other retail stores. People are turning to the computer for social, to have a social life. And so fraudsters are exploiting that. It's just incredible, the things that we have seen come through this. I want to bring up this one because it just happened 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine called to say that her mother, who has been spending a lot of time online shopping, received this in the mail last week. And so it's a legitimate USPS envelope, and in it was this check that looks legit. I just want to see how legitimate these fraudsters are getting this stuff to look like. And then a letter here that is, and she, we have since determined that she probably received this because she clicked on something when she was buying something online, probably Amazon, and somehow signed herself up for a undercover shopper deal. So this letter accompanied this check that looks legitimate, and it tells her what to do with the check. Well, she had also received a fake check like this in connection with a stimulus payment, and so long story short, she called her daughter, who called me, and she said, "My mom's got this check. She's getting ready to cash it." And I said, "No, don't do that. Send it to me. Let me look at it. I've got the other one on my car. I'm going to bring it in." But if she had cashed this, the fraudster would have immediately had access to her bank account, because it's the number on here is routed to his, and he could have just pulled out all of her money. And so these things happen all the time. Y'all just be aware. I mean, it looks like a legitimate deal here. So I digress for just a minute, but I wanted to bring that example up because you guys just have to pay close attention. I know we get inundated with mail, with emails, and this entire world has gone crazy sometimes, but just be diligent about checking anything or doing anything before looking at it carefully. So why target seniors, amount of assets, the last two, deterioration, physical health and mental health, it is a fact, unfortunately, that the longer we live, the frontal cortex of our brain, I've listened to medical panels on this, but over time that frontal cortex starts to deteriorate. We can't remember names like we used to. Actually 39 today, and I can't remember some of the things that I used to remember. My recall is not as great, and I'm constantly writing myself notes. Experts say that in the financial reasoning and judgment portion of the brain is the first to sort of start slipping. And so I use my grandfather as an example, 98, World War II vet, and his mental faculties are so intact, at least you would think so from having a conversation with him. But he will call me when he's received a Publishers Clearinghouse check worth, $3 million. And 10 years ago, he would have never picked up the phone to call, 15 years ago, and ask whether he should deposit that. So, you have to be careful, have conversations with your loved ones, ask them, what they're doing. I look at his mail. I bought him a shredder bin. I shred most of it. So that's a fact of life. So you can flip on past that. And I know that's what your association, your organization does, is raise awareness on issues of Alzheimer's. My grandmother has advanced dementia, and it's been hard to go through that with her. But because of organizations like you guys, we've had resources, and we've been there to help her. And it's been dramatically better because of that. Her life's been a lot better, but I know it's hard. So diminished capacity red flags, you guys have already seen all of this, but you can look at the PowerPoint. A lot of times it's memory loss. I mean, that's not the only red flag. Don't look at that in isolation, because that happens to me all the time. But like with my granddad picking up the phone, he asking me whether he should deposit a check, that was a red flag to me. Okay, so we can flip on. So now we're running short on time. And more red flags, suspicious signatures, family, friends, new acquaintances. A lot of our reports that come in involve sudden withdrawals or increased amount of withdrawals from their brokerage accounts. And so that causes the financial advisor to say, well, what's going on, Miss Jones? She's just taken $40,000 out of her account in increments. Oftentimes we learn that it's part of a romance scam. He or she, because we've had men that are victims, are sending money overseas. And so that's one that we see a lot, actually, sadly. So you guys can take a look at that later. Go ahead and flip on. So best practices, like I said, you guys are, I think, primarily caregivers. Just talk to your loved ones, ask them what's going on in their life. Have they befriended anybody online? That's one of the big ones right now, romance schemes online, just because of the amount of time that we're spending online, and we're turning to the internet for that social function. Video chats, you'd be surprised at how many people have learned how to use Zoom and WebEx that you never thought would understand the concept. And so try to set that up, with people that you don't get to see in person now as often because of the circumstances. Document and report. Guys, we, DHR, I know if it's not investment related, they're working these cases, we communicate with them. And so we're all here, on the state regulatory side and law enforcement side to prevent these practices. The local district attorneys are beefing up their training in their offices on financial exploitation because it's hard sometimes. A lot of people, 10 years ago would say, well, this is kind of a civil matter or domestic matter, but domestic violence, that charge is very much a crime, and so is stealing from family members. No different. So flip on. I'm gonna run through last these things. Okay, last one, COVID-19. That's a big one. I know y'all heard about some of these frauds. Scams are endless. Anytime you've got something big, a hurricane, the stock market crisis in 2008, and now COVID-19, fraudsters are going to take advantage of that. My director, Joe Borg, says, the latest frauds are ripped right out of the headlines because they do have some ostensibly legitimacy to them because they rip them from the newspapers. And the victims that they're dealing with, say, well, I did kind of read that. So this guy, he or she may be right, going down this investment path. Go ahead and flip on, and let's see what I throw in here. So it runs the gamut. Y'all seen some of this stuff. Websites are a big deal. Our agency is part of a national effort to proactively seek out fraudulent internet sites. Our investigation revealed early on that there were approximately 200,000 domains, website type names that were registered to things related to COVID-19. People had gone out and secured these websites knowing that they might use them during the pandemic. And so what we're doing along with the other agencies through this organization are checking each one to determine whether it may be fraud related. And we have already identified several fraudulent sites, and I'll point those up in just a minute. But like I said, cybersecurity concerns, dangerous websites. Some of the cases that I have on my desk right now, one of them involves a large broker dealer or investment, advisor firm. A lot of people use those terms interchangeably, but it's, a reputable one. And what our Alabama victims have reported is that they went online to log into their brokerage account, and they were redirected to another website unbeknownst to them, and a pop-up would come up on their screen, a help button, because they weren't able to log in. And the help button, or the pop-up that came up said, hey, we're installing 5G towers in California, and you're going to need to call me to get a code to log into your account. So our victims picked up the phone, they called, and the fraudster on the other line gave them his user ID and account information. And so what he essentially did through them is access their brokerage accounts and pulled money out. And I don't know how many victims have been impacted at this point, but the last number I believe was over 100. And money's just being pulled out of the accounts. A lot of times they're able to stop them on the banking side, but some of these funds haven't been recovered, and the firm's unable to do anything about it because, guys, once it's gone, it's hard to bring back. So those are the types of scams. They're sophisticated. Some of them are as simple as this. I wanted to show y'all this while I'm on a video. I got this from where our office is also Securities Commission is part of a state federal partnership through our Attorney General Steve Marshall for COVID-19 scams. And so one of the guys, law enforcement guys, sent me this picture of a scam that was going on. And this is a pop-up tent. And early on, people, we didn't really know how to get tested, but they set this up and said, hey, look, you can get tested here. And what they would do is take personal information down, pretend like they were testing folks, so sign COVID-19 testing, and they would steal their their identity through getting their personal identification information through this. And a lot of people were scammed. So be aware of that. All right, go ahead and flip on past other related scams. I mentioned the physical ones. There are a lot of people that are showing up to do to sanitize homes and things like that. Don't let anybody in either. Gosh, there's just a lot of frauds going on in Alabama about that. So check on your friends and family. Make sure they're not letting strangers in the house to do anything because they're coming in and then they'll steal something. That's not to say that there aren't reputable people doing that, and there certainly are, but make sure you check them out. So we've got seniors and other investors, everybody, and don't click on links from unknown sources. That's what happened with this broker-dealer scam that's going on nationwide, but that has impacted Alabama. Before donating, check them out. The FTC has a website and a list of a bunch of scams and how you can report those type things that don't involve securities, some of the mail fraud stuff that comes to the mail, and other consumer type scams. And then our AG's office looks at that, Attorney General's office. But telephone offers, just hang up on these folks. Director Joe Borg would say the best defense with the phone is to get an answering machine. And you don't have to call them back if you don't know them. And always report suspected scams to the authorities. Go ahead and flip on. I know we're running short on time. We have, so a couple of things that our office has done. So I'm here to show you guys that we're an excellent resource is we've got a ConWatch portion of our website, and you can go online. It's on our main page, and at the bottom, click on it. There's a binoculars. It's pretty cool, but it has some of the things that we have seen on the investment side pertaining to COVID-19. And those are just two of the orders that we've issued. And I mentioned earlier the initiative that we have going with several other states and Canada and Mexico to ferret out fraudulent websites and social media advertisements and things like that. Some of these have come from that effort. And so a lot of these fraudsters, I'm looking at one right now, says, if you invest in us, cryptos is, sort of digital asset stuff. Cryptocurrency will return a profit of 105% per year. You guys know that's fraudulent. Make sure your friends know that. On its face, there's no way anybody can promise 105% per year that I'm aware of. But what the fraudster did was say that their company was going to donate hundreds of thousands of dollars to UNICEF to fight the coronavirus. And down here in the South especially, we want to give to good causes. So just be aware of that. A lot of the fraudsters are taking advantage of that and our benevolent nature. So there's two more. You can read about them. Go ahead and flip on. So how do you protect yourself from this COVID-19 pandemic? What I've already mentioned, bore down, ask questions. Typically, our fraudsters, even when we have them under interrogation here, 5 questions in, they're sweating bullets and they can't answer. They start to equivocate or vacillate in their responses, and so ask a lot of questions. Get the information that you need, and don't. If they start to pressure, this is what we see in a lot of cases. The victims will tell us, "Well, he told us we only had until close of business tomorrow." Nothing is going to be that time sensitive in a legitimate investment. So don't feel pressured. I know down here, and I know with women in particular, because I've met with a lot of you ladies, they are courteous and can, will listen to a pitch for so long, but you don't have to listen to them. You can walk away, hang up the phone, click the screen off on your internet, but just shut them down. Because a lot of these people, especially on the romance side, I say cut them off, they're just awful people. So that's all I'll say about that. Don't fall for phishing scams. Pay attention to the emails that you get. In our office, even we've received 1 or 2 phishing emails, and if I had not looked very closely at the recipient's, the sender's email address, there was an S missing from her name. I may have, probably not though, because I've been very savvy with my cybersecurity practices, but I may have clicked on it, but I did pay close attention. So if it looks weird, like why would my sister send me a picture of this? Look closely at it, because it could be a online scam. And if you click on it, then the fraudster has access to your account. No miracle cures, of course you guys know that. And I know with the media, you just don't know what to believe, what's going on in this world. But watch out, invest in any of that mess. Don't just don't right now with COVID-19. Okay, go ahead and flip on. And avoid fraudulent charity schemes. That's a big one. You can check them out. I know they're like charity.org or something will give you the legitimate charities. So you can always verify those. Avoid online solicitations for cash and gift cards. You guys know that, but make sure that your friends and family do. The people you're looking out for, and the government assistance economic relief scams are rampant. People have had their checks diverted when the stimulus checks were first going out because they gave out personal information, and somehow the fraudster was able to divert those funds. Don't cash a check unless you know it is a legitimate stimulus check, and you can always verify that by picking up the phone and calling, the government agency, or doing, just do your homework, due diligence. So go ahead and flip on there. I think this is the last slide, so I'm about out of time. This is our ConWatch. I did stick it on here. This is great. Yeah. If you have a minute, check it out. We have several of the most recent frauds. Because you guys wouldn't believe, the creativity of these scam artists is unbelievable. I tell my friends sometimes, if they would just put the effort into legitimate enterprise, which they could very well do because it's clear that they're smart, they thought about these things, they could make just as much money and not go to prison. So there are a lot of scams listed there. And let's see, I think we also included a scam tracker. Thank you, Nick. If you go on and flip to the next slide. Yeah, so if you want to see the latest, you can click on that link, or it is a legitimate link, or type it into your internet and just see what's going on out there. I mean, yeah, like I said, everybody's a target right now, so be careful. And the last slide, thank you, Jeremy, is our fearless leader, Joe Borg. Some of you, I know, have heard him speak, but we're here to answer any questions. You can call, email us anytime. We're still in the office, and we hope we can be a resource to you. And just be careful out there. And I know we have a couple of questions, and let's see.
Yeah, I can ask them for you, Amanda, if you would like me to.
Thank you.
First question we did have come up. Let's see. So as far as DHR and other professionals agencies go, is there some type of referral or paperwork that the Department of Human Resources, again, or other local resources can use to report any type of exploitation cases directly to ASC? Or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we get referrals all day long from other agencies, from the public. So we have a complaint form online on our main page here. We do want you to submit a complaint, so we'll have the documentation of the complaint. Everybody has to keep the paperwork. And so anyway, on the main page, there's a tab, enforcement, and actually there are two places on our main page. Financial exploitation reporting is a big one. It's on the right side. And then under enforcement, there's the complaint procedure. So in DHR, there are a lot of folks, because we work closely with them, they can pick up the phone and call us. And we give informal guidance too. So we have a partnership with other agencies to work these cases. Does that answer the question? So DHR needs to make a referral. Yeah, they will often call somebody they know here, honestly. Or they can pick up the phone and call me, and then I can get them to the right place, or we can talk about their case, or if it does turn out to be a complaint that we can, under our statutory authority, investigate, I will get them to submit a complaint to our enforcement division.
Right, and that's actually someone who's involved with DHR that's asking. So we definitely want to make for sure that we can get her in contact with you to make sure that going forward that's a good relationship as well. That's here in our Shelby region. But she also had another question as well, which is a really good question. Is she would like to know how would you guys be able to assist in the case of a power of attorney who is actually the one that's exploiting the client, but they live in another state? Yeah,
our jurisdiction. Now I say our state law enforcement agency's jurisdiction extends to conduct that is committed into, within, or from. So as long as we have a hook in Alabama, and if that person, if the client lives here, then yeah, we have a victim here, and we can look into that. If it doesn't involve an investment type thing or a brokerage account, we don't have the statutory authority to look into that, but we can get you, Securities Commission will get you to an agency that does. And like I said, the DA's offices investigate those cases, and we share resources. If we have questions of each other, we pick up the phone and call. And then the Attorney General's office, they look at them. So we're all in communication, and we get it to the right place. But yeah, if she wants to call, I think, I'll be happy to go on and take down my direct line. It's 334-242-2394. That's 334-242-2394. Y'all can call, and I'll be glad to discuss the scenario and see. I can tell you what I would personally recommend and what we've seen before. And we are speaking, I think, to DHR's training later, maybe in end of July or August. I talked to Diane Dunning in Jefferson County, and so she's graciously invited us to participate in that. So hopefully we can, provide this information to more of the county workers. I know how hard it is being in a county. I used to work in a county office, government office, and you feel kind of isolated at times. So yeah. Call.
Well, that answer, we had another question about the jurisdiction, but I think that pretty much wraps that up too, is that as long as there's like you said, a hook, long as there's some type of relation to the person that's being exploited is
Mhm.
residing in the state of Alabama, you kind of have a dog in that fight, I guess to say.
Yeah.
So I would like to add too. I mean, I guess to put it simply, the cliche, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And I know that, and I don't know if this is still the case, Amanda, but I know some time ago I had been involved in a presentation where they basically talked about hotspots for the country, and Alabama seemed to be a pretty popular spot for scams. So I mean, we need to be on alert more so than really any other state because we seem to be a hotspot. So.
Yeah. Do you want to know why that is?
Why is that?
I'll tell you. So Alabama was reported as one of the most fantastic states to live in at retirement. And so we do have a lot of retirees, and we have the beach nearby. The cost of living is unbeatable. I mean, Alabama's a beautiful state. I was born and raised here. I've never left. And so we are a hot spot because we have a fantastic state. Perfect
recipe. And I'd also like to add too, I mean, you said you guys get fraudulent emails, and I mean, we get the same here. I mean, we're an agent, a professional agency, and we get them all along. I've had emails who were associated with county officials that had their name and it looked legitimate, but then like you said, you look at the sender's email address and you know that there's no, at whatever county.gov.
Yeah.
So you have a dead giveaway. So probably the best thing that you can do is just delete it. And then if you know that person, especially if you're in contact with them, you can always just shoot them a call or an email personally and say, hey, I got an email and I just wanted to make for sure that was legitimate because we didn't receive it. And it's best to not open those. I have been a victim of this as far as me doing this late at night, and I should have. But I've opened an email from my phone that was partner related as far as our direct service providers that we partner with here at our office. And I've gotten emails at 5 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, knowing good and well that's probably not a legitimate time to be sent anyway. But just be mindful of that. Don't fall victim to something that sounds too good to be true. Amazon is not giving you $1 million, and you're probably not. I did want to mention this because we haven't mentioned it, but probably one of the biggest scams that I've seen going around lately is these posts for those that are on social media. Toyota is not giving away a truck.
Yeah.
Do not, these companies that are giving away things, or unless it's a local company that you just absolutely know that they're doing a drawing of some sort, these national companies are not giving away things. They're not entering for a chance to win, because what I have heard that actually happens in those cases is that those websites or those Facebook pages or social media pages will have those fraudulent ads out there. They'll get a ton of likes, a ton of shares. And then what they do is they then sell those pages to other pages that just change the name of the page, and now you're hooked into some kind of fraudulent activity or something that's going to try and sell you a product that you didn't sign up for to begin with. So just be mindful of that. If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yes, absolutely. And Netflix is not giving away free subscriptions either. That's one that my office brought to my attention.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's too bad. I also just noticed that Dan Lord was on here. He is head of our public affairs and investor education division. And so, like I said, if you guys ever want to set up something, he's your man. So talk to him. He does a fantastic job.
Absolutely. And if it's, especially for our listeners and our clients or our partners, if this is something that you think would be valuable for your staff, of course, if you feel more comfortable reaching out to our agency at M4A, I mean, we work with ASC all the time. So this is easily a partnership that we can set up. So just let us know how we might be able to help. Well, thank you again, Amanda. This has been I know it's a short presentation, but it's great information.
Thanks, guys.
And hopefully, if nothing else, it'll kind of get the ball rolling for a lot of people that have been suspicious of things, and maybe they can, it'll kind of inspire them to reach out to organizations like us, DHR, the Securities Commission, to see about going ahead and seeing if it is indeed something that's fraudulent or something that they need to look out on behalf of someone else. Because, as we know, there are we have an aging population. So there are a lot of people who aren't familiar with some of these trends that go around, that don't work in it every day, don't see it every day, or aren't online or, in the community every day. So just be vigilant for them on their behalf as well, and look out for your neighbors and friends.
That's right, guys. Spread the word. And Monica, give me a call. All right. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank
Thanks, guys.
you. All right, we're going to move on to M4A. Of course, if you're not familiar with who M4A is, we're the Middle Alabama Area Agency on Aging. We're a part of a network of 13 area agencies on aging that cover the entire state of Alabama. There you see us there, nestled right in the center of the state. We operate in all 67 counties as far as the network. Ourselves, we cover, I think we have it on the next slide, we cover 5 counties. With one exception, we do cover Jefferson County for our senior employment program. But the 5 counties that we traditionally cover are Blount County, Chilton County, St. Clair County, Shelby County, and Walker County. And we are located here in Shelby County in the Saginaw/Alabaster area between Interstate 65 in the Alabaster side and Calera. But put simply, M4A's mission is to empower individuals, people living with disabilities, and their caregivers to self-advocate as well as live independently and safely in the communities of their choice. Simply put, our agency's motto is assisting all ages at all stages. The way it works for us, we have a single point of entry to long-term care supportive services, which we call our Aging and Disability Resource Center, or ADRC. And what you do is, you make a referral to our agency, whether that be in person, through telephone, through our online portal, which we'll go over in just a few seconds. And one of our specialists will contact you back to do a full benefit screening to kind of open up the door to resources that we're aware of, things that we offer in-house, as well as things that are available to our communities. So some of our key programs that are offered statewide, of course, our elderly nutrition program. A lot of people refer to it being similar to like the Meals on Wheels program. We do homebound meals. We do meals in some of the senior centers. We do different things like that throughout the year for nutrition services. So that's something that we provide quite frequently, again, across the state. We do caregiver supportive services with our Alabama Cares program. That's our traditional program, as well as our PANDA project, which, like I said, is one of the hosts of this program. Our PANDA project, I want to emphasize on it just a little bit more. We received a grant through the Administration for Community Living, or ACL, to where we're providing supportive services for those living with dementia, their caregivers, as well as individuals who have intellectual or developmental disabilities, who are at high risk or have dementia-related diagnoses. We've received a grant to provide those services specifically in the Shelby County region of Alabama. So that's a 3-year grant, and we're just getting started with that grant right now. Of course, this is one of the things that we've done, the Coffee Break series. One of the things that we've offered to provide during these tough times during the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is something that we didn't necessarily intend on doing, but since we've kind of had this situation laid in our lap, we saw an opportunity to do the coffee breaks, and now we plan to do these in the future, regardless of whether things get back to normal or not. So we love to have you join us in the future as well. Moving on, we do have what we call our Senior RX program, which is our medication assistance program for those individuals who are at a certain age or older and do not have medical insurance or having to pay out of pocket for some of their medications. They can work directly with providers to get you low cost or no cost drugs. So there is eligibility requirements for that. So again, that's something that you will find out once you get screened during the initial benefit screening. We have insurance counseling. So we have a specialist in-house that will look at your Medicare beneficiary plans to see what's available, what you're not currently receiving, if there's a better plan out there, and just kind of run your medications, run your information to see if there's better options. And she also does Medicare savings plans, so that's available as well. Again, we have a senior employment program where we have individuals who, again, meet specific eligibility criteria, and we match them with some of our local agencies, nonprofits in particular, that can offer a stipend for their services to help learn new job skills and trade skills moving forward to potentially and hopefully the ultimate goal is to sustain long-term employment through either that agency or another agency. We have legal assistance where we partner with an elder law attorney out of Opelika, Ms. Jan Neal, who offers us several different resources, some paid through some of our private programs as well as our federally funded programs. She can help with powers of attorney, advanced directives, those sorts of things. Again, we kind of going along with the theme of Coffee Break, we had one last week actually where we're doing elder abuse prevention workshops. We always, every day of the week, it's kind of part of our jobs as staff members at M4A to be vigilant against elder abuse and try to be, of course, advocates and liaisons on behalf of our clients and the community members who we think and who think themselves that they're being victims of elder abuse. But we also do education workshops and et cetera, things that just to try to promote, again, the vigilance of trying to prevent that for the future, being proactive. We do have two larger programs. Our largest program in-house is our Medicaid waiver. Put simply, this program is in place to provide services into a home that helps to delay or prevent someone from going into a long-term care facility by bringing those services in their home. So that's a great program that keeps individuals who, with just a little bit of help, they can remain to age in place at home. And if in the case that there is someone who's living in a long-term care facility, we do have a local ombudsman who is kind of the individual who's in between the facility itself and the resident, and they can speak on behalf if there are any type of complaints or any type of issues that need to be looked into. So, of course, like I said, you can walk into our office during normal business hours or during normal times in the world. Right now, our office is actually closed, but you can call our office and again walk in during normal conditions, or you can go to our website here listed at the top, www.m4a.org/referral, and it will actually take you through the same process, except you don't have to rely on us to call you back to get these answers from you. You can do this kind of at your own time, your own schedule, whether it be in the afternoon, at night, early in the morning. If it's outside of our normal business hours, you can still provide this information and get the information to us so that we can call and get the benefit screening completed on the individual that you're calling on behalf of or yourself. Follow us on social media. We do have a Facebook account, of course, for our M4A page as well as our Panda page on M4A. We also have a Twitter account with our M4A organization, an Instagram account with M4A, and YouTube. We do record all of these coffee break sessions, and we trim them up just a little bit and get them onto a one video, get them onto our YouTube account so that if you need to refer back to it or if you need to share it with anyone, feel free to share it in your newsletters if you have it in your office or whatever you need to do to get the word out. Again, we have a different speaker, a different topic every week. We go ahead and monitor our Facebook page. We'll have the event set up on there so that you can kind of see the description of the upcoming event, the registration information, the topic at hand, who the speaker will be, etc. So you can kind of get a good idea. And also you can invite friends and family or share it with those that you think might benefit from it. And of course, always join our newsletter. It's probably the quickest way to find out about things that are happening at M4A. We have a newsletter of over 1,500 or 1,600 people, I believe, at this point. But once you go to our website, you will be prompted with a box if you're interested in joining our newsletter. And we send those out at minimum once a week. Right now, we're doing it twice a week, but going forward, we will probably get back to once a week. But there's different resources in there about things that are happening in whether it be laws that have been passed or local events that are happening, or if they're like right now, I think we have a couple of ads that we have going in our newsletter for local universities. They're doing pilot programs that they're looking for participants. So things like that we try to promote. And of course, if you have anything that you want to promote, feel free to email us you can email us at panda@m4a.org, and that we can kind of see about getting that information in our newsletter as well. We did want to let you know about our next coffee break. Of course, we're doing these bi-weekly, so it'll be 2 weeks from today, July the 15th from 1 to 2 p.m., of course, here in our central time zone. So be sure to mark your calendars for that. And we are completely flipping from securities frauds to gardening. We think that, like I said, we try to have a different, some type of subjects, keep it fresh every time we do a new coffee break. So we are joined by a Helena resident, Chris Van Cleve, who is also known as the Redneck Rosarian, and I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And you can find out, there's his website there if you want to find out more about him and what he does, but he is an expert expert gardener, especially in roses. And so he's tagged there the America's favorite rose gardener. So he's going to be bringing us some insight on how you can produce better roses and how you can use that as therapy and kind of get out there and get your hands dirty and stay busy. So we're excited about that one. And that, like I said, that'll be 2 weeks from today. So go ahead and mark your calendars for that. Here's our contact information for M4A. Physically, we are located at 209 Cloverdale Circle in Alabaster, 35007. If you need to mail us anything, we are located at P.O. Drawer 618, Saginaw, Alabama, 35137. Locally, you can contact us at 205-670-5770. Toll free at 1-866-570-2998. Again, there's our fax number and our website. So if you need to reach us, feel free to reach out, and we'll see about getting back in contact with you at our earliest convenience to see if we can get your question answered, get you the resources that you might need, and see how we can really improve you, your family, your friend, whoever it may be, your quality of life. So we look forward to serving your family and helping any way we can. If you have any questions for Amanda, again, feel free to reach out to us at Panda, P-A-N-D-A, at M4A, the number 4, the letter A.org, and we can get those questions to her. I do believe that they've been listed as a co-sponsor for this event on our Panda page. And so if you have a question, of course, you can post that question on the Facebook live feed that we've been running this whole time, and they can also respond to your questions on there directly. They do have social media accounts, so feel free to follow and share and like and all that good stuff on their pages as well. So thanks again for joining us. Have a great rest of the week. Be careful out there. We've got a holiday coming up this weekend. Be careful. I know some places are hosting events and some are not, but just try to be careful, be mindful, practice safe hygiene, all the above, and have a great weekend.